U-boat captains heard American destroyer Sonar, then realized they were being tracked 20 miles out. In the frigid, unforgiving waters of the North Atlantic, the winter of 1943 was a time of brutal reckoning. March, in particular, would go down in history as the deadliest month of the entire Battle of the Atlantic. German U-boat wolf packs, operating with chilling efficiency under the command of Admiral Karl Dönitz, had transformed the ocean into a graveyard for Allied shipping. Convoys laden with essential supplies, food, fuel, and weapons destined for the European theater, were being systematically decimated. For the Allied powers, the situation was dire. The U-boats, masters of the deep, seemed to hold an unshakable grip on the vital sea lanes, threatening to starve Britain into submission and sever the lifeline between North America and the war effort. The hunters of the Kriegsmarine ruled the waves, their periscopes a constant, terrifying presence in the vast, gray expanse. The advantage held by the German submarines was stark and seemingly insurmountable. They could strike with devastating surprise, launching torpedoes from the concealing depths before Allied escorts even knew they were there. The primary tool for detecting these submerged predators was sonar, known to the British as ASDIC. However, early sonar systems were plagued by severe limitations. Their effective range was often just a mile or two, and their performance was heavily degraded by ocean conditions. Thermal layers, underwater currents, and even the noise of the convoy itself could create false echoes or completely mask the faint signature of a lurking U-boat. For the captains of the escort destroyers and corvettes, the hunt was a frustrating and often futile game of cat and mouse played in near-total blindness. The U-boat crews, in turn, had become experts at exploiting these weaknesses, diving deep below thermal layers to escape detection, and listening for the telltale ping of active sonar, which gave them ample warning to take evasive action. The balance of power was tipped decisively in favor of the silent hunters. But even as the wolf packs celebrated their greatest successes, a revolution was quietly unfolding in the laboratories of Allied scientists. Far from the battlefield, physicists and oceanographers were beginning to unlock a fundamental secret of the ocean's acoustic environment, a phenomenon that would fundamentally alter the nature of undersea warfare. They discovered the existence of what would come to be known as the Deep Sound Channel, or SOFAR channel, sound fixing and ranging. This was not a physical structure, but a horizontal layer of water, typically found at depths of several thousand feet, where the combination of temperature and pressure created a unique corridor. Within this channel, the speed of sound is at its minimum. This unique property meant that sound waves entering the channel at a shallow angle would be refracted back and forth, trapped within its boundaries, allowing them to travel extraordinary distances with remarkably little loss of energy. It was the ocean's own natural waveguide, a hidden highway for sound. This breakthrough was the key that the Allies had been desperately searching for. Scientists like Maurice Ewing and J. Lamar Wurzel at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution theorized that, if they could harness the deep sound channel, they could dramatically extend the range of acoustic detection. The concept was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of relying on direct line-of-sight sonar pings that dissipated quickly, they could use low-frequency sound that would propagate through this highly efficient channel. A sound source, such as the propeller noise of a submarine or the detonation of a small explosive charge, could be heard not just for a few miles, but for hundreds or even thousands of miles. This new understanding of underwater acoustics transformed sonar from a short-range tactical tool into a long-range strategic weapon. The ocean, once a sanctuary for the U-boats, was about to become a transparent battlefield. The technological application of this discovery was convergence zone sonar. Unlike traditional sonar that sent out a beam in a straight line, This new system took advantage of the way sound waves refract or bend as they travel through different layers of water. Sound originating from a destroyer near the surface would travel downwards, bend back upwards as it hit the high-pressure depths, and then return to the surface in a focused ring, or annulus, at a significant distance from the ship. The first convergence zone would typically form about 20 to 30 miles out, creating a hot spot of acoustic energy. A submarine unlucky enough to be positioned within this zone would be illuminated by the sonar ping as if it were right next to the destroyer. The system created a series of these rings, allowing a single escort vessel to effectively monitor vast swathes of the ocean. For the first time, destroyers could hear submarines long before the submarines could hear them, or get into position to attack. The transition from scientific theory to battlefield reality was swift. New, more powerful low-frequency sonar transducers were fitted to American destroyers, and their crews were trained in the entirely new tactics that this technology demanded. The initial encounters were bewildering for the German U-boat commanders. For years, their operational doctrine had been built around the predictable limitations of Allied sonar. They knew how far away they could be detected and how to use the ocean's layers to their advantage. Suddenly, the rules of the game had changed without their knowledge. A U-boat captain, cruising on the surface at night to recharge batteries or proceeding submerged at what he believed was a safe distance from any known convoy, would hear the chilling, rhythmic ping, ping, ping of an active sonar search. His first reaction would be disbelief, followed by a dawning horror. The sound was clear, strong, and directional, yet his own hydrophones detected no engine noises, no indication of a nearby ship. The psychological impact on the U-boat crews was immense. The deep ocean, once their greatest ally, had betrayed them. Commanders who had felt secure 20 or 30 miles from a convoy route suddenly found themselves being relentlessly hunted. They would hear the sonar pings growing stronger, indicating the hunter was closing in, yet they could see nothing through the periscope and hear no approaching propellers. This invisible, inescapable threat created a sense of paranoia and helplessness. The destroyer was no longer a blundering giant to be easily evaded. It was an omniscient predator whose gaze could penetrate the ocean's depths across vast distances. The U-boat was no longer the hunter. It was now the hunted, trapped in an acoustic cage from which there was no escape. This technological leap, born from a deep understanding of physics, combined with the courage and skill of the Allied escort crews, began to decisively turn the tide in the Battle of the Atlantic. The era of the U-boat's dominance was drawing to a close, not just with depth charges and torpedoes, but with the subtle, inescapable power of sound traveling through the ocean's hidden channels.